We've got an RCMP and a police officer from the Vancouver Police Department releasing an open letter to Mark Carney saying that his government is compromised and a handful of people, I think 9 of them, have to be removed from his cabinet, stating that there's evidence they knew about foreign interference and did nothing about it to protect Canadians. There's Liberal cabinet ministers, past and present, including some working in Mark Carney's office, have directly by intent permitted serious breaches of Canadian law. Says they have failed to act on serious allegations related to national security, conducted themselves in their cabinet roles with apparent malfeasance, and as a result ultimately place several Canadian citizens at grave risk. Goes on to say, we're asking you to show leadership and immediately remove below listed individuals from your party and or this election. And of course, we're offering you documents, communication records, and evidence to support these claims. The named ministers, past and present, of concerns are as follows. Marco Mendicino, failed Minister of Public Safety, failed to respond on the direction of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's office to address impropriety at CSIS and the RCMP, permitted breach of law, breaches of process, and breaches of policy, both CSIS and the RCMP. Got Dominic LeBlanc here, says failed to address breaches against Canadian improper use of electronic spyware, CSIS and the RCMP. Failed to address breaches of the Canadian Charter of Rights, permitted breaches against labor unions, improper government use of spyware. This list is long. It's got Bill Blair, by authorizing extreme powers for CSIS to undertake inappropriate actions against innocent Canadians, permitted breaches of ministerial directive on national security operations in sensitive sectors, permitted breaches of the Canadian Charter of Rights. We've got David McGuinty, so this is Mark Carney's new Minister of Public Safety, says improper actions of CSIS withholding critical national security information from the RCMP investigation, failed to protect Canadian Charter of Rights, failed to address risks of Canadian citizens abroad. We've got Nita Nand, who is the president of the Treasury Board, says intercede and address improper use of spyware by the RCMP against a labor union executive during a period of collective bargaining and unfair labor practice filing. These are very specific examples. It's not like, oh, they kind of did something bad maybe over there at some time. These are very specific. Did further fail to uphold Canadian Charter of Rights and permitted the Treasury Board of Canada to engage in bad faith collective bargaining, knowing that serious breaches of law had occurred. Steve McKinnon, to uphold Canadian Charter of Rights, failed to investigate breaches of the RCMP in labor designated sensitive sectors during sanctioned labor activities and collective bargaining. Melanie Joly failed as Minister of Foreign Affairs to address safety risks to Canadians traveling abroad to China and their family members in China, resulting from the public release of the protected Section 38 national security documents by the RCMP and the Public Prosecution Service of Canada without redaction. Arif Virani failed as Minister of Justice and Attorney General of Canada to address safety concerns to Canadians traveling abroad to China and their family members in China, resulting from the public release, the same thing as Melanie Joly there, and the Public Prosecution Service Canada without redaction. Chrystia Freeland failed as Deputy Prime Minister to address reported breach of labor rights, misuse of spyware technology by CSIS and RCMP, and breach of the Charter of Rights. So it goes on to say here, Mr. Carney, you have the opportunity to prove unequivocally to all Canadians that you place Canadians' ministerial responsibility and the rule of law above partisan political activity. They are absolutely calling him out here. You can see at the bottom here, signed by these detectives. So it goes on to say here, the information contained within was released publicly and without redaction or vetting by Quebec RCMP National Security Unit and public prosecutors in October 2024. The questionable Chinese interference file was manufactured by CSIS, who mishandled critical national security intelligence during the Men Wanzhou 2 Michaels crisis. CSIS betrayed one of its own Canadian covert foreign contract intelligence agents by operating in China and tried to terminate a serving Mountie based on several engineered allegations to cover up their own lack of real-time intelligence on the international crisis between China and Canada. Ooh, so they were waiting for the right time to drop this, weren't they? CSIS then provided false intelligence to the U.S. Department of State, leading to the termination of security clearance Canadian former police officer employed by the Director of Security for the U.S. State Department facilities in Canada. It is rank in the underbelly there, isn't it? Furthermore, CSIS provided this erroneous intelligence to the Prime Minister's office, the Minister of Public Safety, and the Privy Council Office of Canada. When the scenario was forwarded to the RCMP to begin foreign interference national security investigation, CSIS withheld critical national security information from the RCMP and then sent them on a wild goose chase up